Welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast, where we engage with top business leaders who share their experiences and provide real insights that help them attract customers, retain staff, and grow their bottom line. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Horrigan, host of the show, where I feature inspired business leaders from various backgrounds and industries willing to share their stories and insights. Our podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Spinutech. Spinutech is a digital agency with 160 team members across the United States who help their clients grow their businesses, attract new customers, retain existing, and ultimately be more successful. And today's guest is Melissa Massa. Melissa is the Vice President of Sales for Lenovo Cloud Service Providers, where she's a leader, one of the fastest growing businesses in the company, responsible for building a global client base. Melissa joined Lenovo back in 2014, and her in-depth knowledge of cloud providers and business transformation has established her to be a trusted voice in the industry. Melissa's got a lot of recognition and a lot of awards. I'll name just a few of them. Melissa was nominated for the Women of IT Award in Silicon Valley. Melissa was given the Hero Award by her CEO at Lenovo, which is the highest form of team recognition that you can receive at Lenovo. And last year, Melissa was a finalist to the top 50 most powerful women in technology. Melissa, welcome to the Growth Buyer Podcast.
Thank you, Kevin. It's great to be here.
Yeah, that's nice to talk to you. So, Melissa, maybe we'll start a little bit. We're in marketing, and so we hear about the elevator pitch. Can we get the 2-minute elevator pitch on who Melissa Massa is? Maybe where you grew up, your upbringing, maybe what you wanted to do when you got into your professional career?
Certainly. So I grew up actually in Northern Kentucky in the Cincinnati area. I grew up, we raised horses, and I don't know that I really knew what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to go into business. And then as time progressed and I went further into business, I immediately was very interested in the technology field. So attracted to that space, kind of kept gravitating to it all the time.
Was sales part of it? Did you know sales at that time too, or more just the technology side?
No, sales was kind of a very obvious fit for me. So I went from more of the business side and the administrative into the sales side, took kind of a leap of faith, and took, it was one of those positions where it's very low pay and big commissions. And I was out on my own and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And it actually ended up, my first year ended up just being amazing.
Really?
One of my favorite stories of them was I went through all the education process to learn the product.
Yes.
I had it down pat. And then I closed the deal, but I didn't know how to write the paperwork up at that point. I never got that far.
Well, that's not a bad problem. You close the deal. Someone will help you with the paperwork, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So your first job was a commission-paying sales job?
My first sales job was almost all commission. Yes.
Wow. And you did well your first year?
Yeah, we did really well. I pretty young and enjoyed a fast and furious life then.
Oh, that's great. That's a great story. Great. So Melissa, when I hear about your title, you run global sales for Lenovo's cloud service provider. I'm like, wow, that's a big, big role. Help us understand what that is.
Yeah, let me start and talk a little bit about Lenovo, because I think it's not always a household name. And when people hear the products, they definitely recognize it a little bit more. But Lenovo is a huge multinational company. So you'll probably be more familiar with things like the ThinkPad, our
Yes.
product.
Yeah.
And then we bought the server business in 2014 from IBM. So there's two sides to the company. There's our PC, which is the largest PC company in the world.
Yep.
And Motorola, the phone handset from
Yes.
a mobile perspective. And then the side of the business I'm on is the data center side. So that's all the servers and storage, meet that aspect, more of the back office needs.
Right. And so you're managing that cloud services, hosting type data center type companies.
Yeah. So what happened was when I came to Lenovo back in 2014, the business really didn't exist. When we acquired it from IBM, they had not been in that business. But I had been in it for several years and saw kind of the rich portfolio Lenovo had to offer in terms of capabilities. And so working with the head of strategy, we decided to launch the business. So really kind of put it into play about 2015. And today the business is a multi-billion-dollar operation.
Multi-billion-dollar operation.
Multi-billion dollar operation, yeah.
So that just tees up the next question. So, in your bio, it talked about you're leading one of the fastest growing areas at Lenovo. You're talking multi-billion and started in 2015. So less than 8 years, you're multi-billion agent company. That's humongous. What's been your go-to-market strategy? How did you go from little to multi-billion? What's been your secret sauce to how you go to market?
Yeah, so this has been a journey, right? And I've learned so much from it. So along the journey, really was the first 2 years was primarily educating and building the foundation inside of Lenovo. So it was really working across multiple organizations, supply chain, engineering, services, readying everybody to be able to meet with these customers and have a conversation that is going to be different and unique than the typical conversation. Our customers as cloud service providers are some of the largest clients in the world. So you think of those who are consuming the most IT, Facebook, Microsoft, Azure, Google, those are cloud service customers, and
Right.
that's the customer base we're calling on.
Yes.
And so doing business with them is very different from your traditional way you call on an enterprise company. It is, we had to build that strength inside of Lenovo.
And is that in building that strength, is that relationship driven, marketing driven, a combination of each?
Yeah, definitely the relationship aspect of it is incredibly important. There's a lot of companies out there, but there's not a lot. It really comes down to understanding those businesses and how they work. I've been fortunate enough to work in this space through 2 previous other companies. And so that gave me the platform and years of experience and understanding what their expectations are, making certain that we could deliver to those expectations to meet their needs, because it's a very fast paced, lot of tonnage that, from the aspect of products that are moving through the business.
Right. You mentioned, billions in revenue, right? So you can't be doing that on your own shoulders. I imagine you have a team.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us about your team, the size, where they're located, maybe?
Yes, certainly. So in the US, I have basically 3 locations that are our primary locations. Morrisville and RTP, and North Carolina is our headquarters. So there's about 3,500 people there, and I have a team located there. I have a team in the Bay Area, close to our customers in Silicon Valley, and then we also have a team and labs up in the Seattle area, close to some of the key customers in that market.
Sure.
And then sales teams also throughout Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific, and China as well to support this.
Wow, it's a true global operation.
I think in the sales realm, we've probably got about 40 sellers today, but across Lenovo, if you look at everybody all in, because this is a massive team sport,
right,
there's probably over 600 people today in Lenovo that wear that CSP badge of honor that represent the space.
Yeah, that's really, really great. From people that work in the sales side of things and bringing in this revenue for you, what are the skills that you're looking for that these people would have? If you were to try to make a hire today, what is it that you're looking for the team that you'd be bringing on board?
Well, I'll tell you, it's not easy. I often refer to it as both left and right-brained people.
Yep.
They have to have a technical acumen relatively deep.
Yep.
Not necessarily at the engineer level, but we have found really good luck with engineers who also have a master of the business and a very large, comprehensive understanding of how to look at the business. I ask them to run as the GM of their customer, to look at it every day as this is your business, you're running it, to be looking ahead. So it's not easy. It's a lot like finding a needle in a haystack, but when you find these individuals and the skill sets, just the value you've got there in these individuals is incredible. You got to make sure that you never lose them, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be my next question. How do you motivate your team? What do you find motivates your team and keeps your team, retains your team?
I find that, first of all, career path and development is really, really important. Education process, exposure, right? They need exposure to the executives within Lenovo. They need to understand how to pitch to our EVPs. And quite frankly, they learn a lot from it. When I do take vacation, I have my team members step in and run for me as opposed to handing it off to a peer, because I want to make certain that I'm constantly developing them and bringing them up. But I think for the most part, it's also empowering them, to run the business and to call for help, obviously, when they need help.
Yeah, no. And that's some interesting insights you just shared there about making sure that your team has access to the executives in the company and how to pitch them.
So a good tidbit there. We started on Thursdays. It's called MAP, and it's our major account programs.
Yes.
And we just opened it up to the sales teams and said, come in on Thursdays and bring your most difficult challenges. And you've got the entire executive staff. Well, my team and I quickly learned that we filled the agenda and we fill it every Thursday, right? So maybe some of the other sales teams feel like it's more of a beating, but we know that when we walk out of those meetings, we get what we need, right? And the team knows they're going to get the support they need to move the account forward. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah, that's some interesting insight. I appreciate you sharing that. I think I could see how that would be good training for them, good team building, probably help people understand how decisions are made. And when, asking for permission, probably are, better conditioned to ask now that they understand, some of the expectations and stuff like that. I think that's a really neat tidbit there to pick up on.
Yeah. Never want to lose a deal alone. That's for sure.
No, not at all. Not at all. Melissa, we talked about your sales team. From a marketing perspective, can you share a little bit about what, growing this humongous division in Lenovo? Can you tell a little bit about what you do from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, so we have partners that we work with in this particular space. Intel and AMD are very big partners of ours. And we base everything on return on investment. So work ahead, ensure that we've got the right events that customers are interested in, that are learning and meaningful and educational, and they're providing a return on investment back to both us and our alliance partners.
Yeah.
A lot of our business with our large clients is a little bit more private, where we don't speak about it as much. So that we really rely on primarily through the relationship and trust factor. And, that kind of takes a life of its own then throughout the industry.
How did COVID affect that?
It was interesting, right? So everything just came to a screaming halt. We were really worried. And I think, we've definitely persevered through the relationship.
Yes.
And built very strong relationships. It's different, when you're meeting somebody in their office. Now today, I'm talking to somebody in his house or in his garage or her home office, and you get personal. They get up and they walk around. And you get to see a little bit more of their life and their lifestyle. And I think actually been okay.
Yeah, that's it's a joke when the cat jumps up on the desk or the dog's barking or something. It's just kind of funny how
you get to know everybody's pets for sure.
Right, exactly. It's funny. You get to know everybody's pets. It is fun, but I can see how that does definitely can develop different topics to kind of build a relationship. And I think knowing that the personal relationships, and you talked about just like being the GM of your clients' accounts. Like I love that phrase because you're really trying to think about how they're running their business and how to help them be successful. And I think that's, a key component of how you probably are being successful is you're making sure you're not just helping Lenovo's business grow, you're solving the problems for your clients and they're coming back to you as that trusted advisor. And those engineers that you have that have now joined the sales team, certainly I'm sure that they are known as trusted advisors, not just people trying to sell and make a quota.
Kevin, in this world today, technology is moving so fast and the advancement of AI and used to be you had compute and storage in the cloud. Today, you got to provide everything, right?
Yes.
It's across the board. So you look at what these companies have to have available to them and how fast technology is moving. One of the things that we're really trying to do better is look ahead. It's not only being there today and driving their business today, but understanding where they need to be 6 months from now. Where do we need to be 2 years from now?
Yeah.
Products that aren't even thought of. We need to, press on that much harder today. And it's funny, as I sit and listen to some of our partners, we're looking at like 3 to 5 year roadmaps now for the technology curves.
Wow, that is aggressive, and it's nice to hear. People always asking me, where's digital advertising going, and it's such a hard thing to predict. And the wave of artificial intelligence, hitting the market right now is just it's I believe going to be just a humongous changer for all of us, and to be one of these new things out there that we'll look at our career about how that's going to change things, and that's such a huge opportunity. But trying to roadmap where that looks like in 3 to 5 years, there's got to be a lot of smart people at that table, because
it's really cool. I'm actually trying to figure out how I get an AI device to do my forecast sessions for me.
That would be great. That would be great. I was thinking maybe salespeople can come up with better email campaigns than using AI and getting some good recommended changes to their verbiage. Again, Melissa, you're this huge growing division. I assume you and your team have some big quotas. What do you track from an activity and results? What can you share that maybe you track that might be helpful to our audience about what you maybe are tracking from an activities perspective and a results perspective?
Yeah, so we're a pretty data-driven company. We leverage tools internally. We use them quite a bit. For me, being in a global role, it's really important because I don't get to see the direct sales team all the time. I'm working with the directors, their leadership teams. So we leverage the data we have internally. And it's very, very, very important to understand, the 7 sales stages of the pipeline, right? The funnel is the funnel thing that never changes as much as technology changes and sales changes and marketing changes. Guess what? The pipeline doesn't. So ensuring that everybody knows where they are in that pipeline in that next sales stage, and that we're always looking at, did somebody drop out? Why did they drop out? What is the reason? Can we come back in? And not just writing it off as that was an opportunity lost, but how do we fix it for the next time to be better? So we're tracking, we're collecting data on all the sales stages through the pipeline.
Yeah, and you really do look at the losses and figure out what you can do better next time and try to share those experiences with the team.
Yeah, we do. We have a process inside of Lenovo that is it's a full 360 process where we go back and understand what we're going to improve upon next time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Managing a global team, I assume that might have some conflicts with working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. Can you tell a little bit about how you manage your workday and how you get your balance in life?
Well, it's not managing my 9 to 5; it's managing my sleep.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. It's a little bit of give and take, right? You got to be sensitive to the people on the other side.
Right.
And you meet with them. Sometimes it's convenient for them, and they meet with you sometimes when it's convenient for you. But it is definitely a balance.
Yes.
And I think consistency too. I try to hold a lot of my meetings are set meetings, right? And it doesn't mean we don't have ad hoc things come up, but for the most part, I think that my assistant told me the other day, I have 27 one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I wonder where my time goes, right? Yeah. But it's manageable because it's calendared. Right. I know what's coming up. I can plan for it. But yeah, and then when on occasion something is hot, we jump in and we handle it. But for the most part, we've gotten things down to a pretty good schedule.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And yeah, like I said, managing sleep, right? So you just got to make sure you get that.
And if you travel to Asia, make sure you stay for at least 10 days because you won't be able to recover if you come back less than that.
It's just too hard, huh?
It's just too hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Melissa, a couple more questions for you. So in your journey, have you had any mentors in your life? And how did they help you grow if you did?
I have. I've had, interesting enough, I think probably 2 of the biggest mentors for me have been female. Mm-hmm. they are no longer my mentors. I find, but they were for years. I find that, you change, right? And where you are in life and the journey you're on changes, and you might need a new mentor for a new reason. A mentor I have right now just happens to be 2 levels above me and is a male, and I'm learning an incredible amount from this individual. I found that today, for me, it's not so much about the sales journey, right? Now it's more about the broader business, understanding all of the aspects of how we impact the business overall. And I'm looking at things clearer through that lens. And this mentorship piece has really helped me.
And in your mentor journey, was there ever communication with any of your mentors? Like, hey, you're my mentor, or otherwise?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is formalizing, right?
Yes.
I mean, certainly, I've just been kind of a student, if you will, my whole life of watching successful people and making certain I pay attention to what they're doing. So there's always that aspect going on. But when you enter into a formal mentor-mentee relationship, it's very important that it's well known, right, on both sides.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm only smiling because probably one of my top greatest mentors, we never had that conversation, but certainly it was taking place, right? And I remember one time we had some, really good discussion. And he finished the conversation. He said, "You're welcome, Grasshopper," like the movie The Karate Kid, Grasshopper. And so, like once every 6 months, he'd say the Grasshopper one more time. And it just, you knew that was a time that he was making sure I knew that the content that we had just exchanged back and forth.
He's helping you.
It was the mentorship thing. And so we never, ever had a formal conversation about it. I've got hair standing up on my arms telling you the story, but we never had it. But the Grasshopper was just something that it was our way of not talking about it, but talking about it. And it was, it was really kind of cute. And so to this day, I'll just never forget those extra points where Grasshopper was brought up. And I just knew I was getting a really good piece of solid advice.
Well, you know what you got to do. You got to pass that on, right?
Yes. Well, and like you said, so I don't think I've ever officially, had a conversation with people who I was looking up to be my mentor, but I have been in a couple mentor programs for a couple of different associations that I belong to. And so that was like an official, status. And we had scheduled mentor calls, like mentor meetings and things of that nature. In an established way. I guess I was just a little shy. I don't know, I was a little shy or just, we never got to the point of having that conversation, but certainly they've been very valuable to me. And I think, like you say, as you learn different things, you start to seek and you meet different people, you start to see, I always look up at these successful people and, oh my gosh, I could be more like that person. I could be more like that person. As you go through your journey, you may be able to start checking the box of some of the things that you've been able to learn, but you meet new people and you learn other opportunities of where you could get better. Like you, not so much on the sales side right now, but more on the business side of things. And so I always say, be careful what you ask for, because when you get there, you'll change your mind. And you get to a particular point, you're still hungry. You still want to learn. You still want to grow. You still want to advance. And that's the whole intent of this podcast today, is to be able to help people grow by giving your experiences and insights that may be able to rub off on others. And so my final question for you today, Melissa, as we're going to help these people grow, is where do you get your inspiration? Where do you get your thought leadership? What, besides your mentors, what is it that you rely on that's helping you continue to grow and get better every day?
There's a little bit of self-motivation that drives me. I'm a very goal-oriented person. But I also get a lot of enjoyment out of the team sport, right? Working with a multitude of people in different areas. This is not just sales. I really enjoy the relationship I have with our supply chain team.
Yes.
By the way, on Lenovo, we're in the number 9 in the Gartner supply chain in the world. So
that's great.
I really enjoyed that, and working with our services organization, other areas. I want to see everybody be successful. You feel responsible for them.
Right.
So, all the way down to the factory and the equipment running through the factory, that you want to keep those lines busy, right?
Right.
So, my inspiration comes from just others, really, and wanting to make sure that we're keeping this thing afloat, and we've got 600 people taking home really good paychecks and excited, and we're delighting the customer, and the customer's giving us more business. So it's kind of a very circular aspect to it.
Right. No, I absolutely get that and love that, seeing everybody, being successful, and again, customers coming back and purchasing more services. My first professional customer service training ever, the instructor said, "Do you know how a customer votes?" And people were guessing, no, it's not with customer service surveys. It's not with reviews. So they vote with their dollar. The more they're spending, the more they're telling you they like what you're doing. And so it sounds like you've had a great career with doing that. So Melissa, thank you so much for joining the Growth Fire podcast today. We've been talking to Melissa Massa. She's Vice President of Sales for Lenovo's global cloud service providers. Melissa, if anybody wants to reach out to you or connect with you, what would be the best way they could do so?
Yeah, just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You'll find me, Melissa Massa, Lenovo.
Great. Melissa, thanks again. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Fire podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.